It is Wednesday, December 9th, and that means it's time for my news radar. So I think the first bit of big news that has very recently broken is the official unveiling and announcement of Apple's new Airpods Max. Now these are not, little buds that go in your ear anymore. These are the actual over-the-ear noise-canceling headphones that we've probably all kind of known were coming from Apple for quite some time. And we finally know what they really look like, what they're going to cost, what they're going to be able to do. So as far as the appearance goes, look, they look very Apple-centric. They've got a very minimal design, which I actually really like the look of. They come in a couple different color options here, which I think generally all look pretty good. I do like that black color though. I think these things appear to be made with comfort being really in the forefront of the mind. They appear to really be focusing on not just comfort around the ear, but also on that headband. That's something that a lot of headphones really don't do well. In particular, if you wear glasses like myself, over time they really begin to pinch into your head. It looks as though they're trying to make something that's very comfortable for long-term use. You're looking at an adaptive equalizer. So basically these things are going to adjust the sound to the fit and seal of the ear cushions by measuring the sound signal delivered to a user and adjusting the low and mid frequencies in real time, bringing rich audio that captures every detail. I believe this is using their H1 audio processing chip, so the audio quality is going to be very good. Active noise cancellation is a big one, especially when you're putting it at this price point, which by the way I haven't mentioned is $549. So this is not a cheap set of headphones, so ANC has to be there, especially since Bose and Sony both have ANC headphones that are actually quite a bit cheaper than what they're offering here. There is a transparency mode, which I actually really like, which allows you, it's basically audio pass-through. You'll be able to hear the outside world while still listening to music. So you have ANC if you want to block out the world. You have a transparency mode if you want to let the world in. So you're walking on the street, you get hit by a bus or something, you want to hear the world around you. Well, that's a great option there. We also have support for Dolby Atmos, Dolby 7.1, and 5.1. So they pretty much tick every box. It says they're using a gyroscope and accelerometer to track your head and compare that motion data to revamp the sound field so it stays anchored to the device even as the user's head moves. Pretty crazy stuff that they're doing there. You're looking at up to 20 hours of high fidelity audio, talk time, or movie playback with ANC and spatial audio enabled. It's a pretty good long time. You got to look here at this carrying case that is probably the strangest looking case I've ever seen for anything maybe. It looks like a weird purse almost. Automatic switching is an awesome feature to have too, especially if this is your one set of headphones. And for $550, it probably is going to be switching between your iPad, your iPhone, your Mac, just seamlessly moving back and forth. That is great. Siri is obviously going to be there as well. And then they have their awesome new pairing functionality that we've seen with the new HomePods, where essentially you just bring these headphones near to one of your devices. It's going to pop up and let you pair it up immediately. Now, I think it is important to mention that something like the Sony WH-1000XM4s are a great set of headphones, and they can be found for less than $300. Now, obviously, a lot of people that buy Apple products, look, you're paying the Apple tax, and it's not simple enough to say these are really expensive. A lot of people don't care, even though those Sonys maybe, most is 90% as good, let's say, just hypothetically, people will still be willing to pay, nearly twice as much to get the Apple version because they want Apple. Keep in mind that the Beats Solo Pro came out a year ago for $300 with ANC in there as well, using the same H1 chip. Tough to say for me if these specs can justify a $550 price tag, but if you're big into the Apple ecosystem, AirPods Max are coming. Pre-orders have started today and they will ship on December 15th. Let's talk very briefly here about a very small update for the Surface Duo. So Zach Bowden on Twitter, I think he is with Windows Central, tweeted, "For those wondering, the Surface Duo December update is still a couple weeks away due to a blocking bug that is being fixed, so don't expect it this week." I know that's probably a disappointment to a lot of you guys. It's a disappointment to me because, hey, you look up and you're like, hey, it's December 8th. The last couple updates have come in this window, but we're probably looking at late December due to this bug trying to be squashed. I think it's been really awesome to watch the improvements come to the Surface Duo so far. The November update was a pretty good update as well, so fingers crossed that the December update is going to be just as good, if not better. There's still a lot of stability issues, a lot of launcher issues, some weird bugs that are still hanging out, but I think for me, 80% of the bugs have been taken care of. So we're definitely going to be watching for that December update. When it drops, expect a video of an overview and then a review of how it's worked for me in the days shortly thereafter. He also does answer a question about Android 11. Basically, here's all we know. Android 11 development is underway. We don't have an ETA. I'm hopeful that when Android 11 does launch, well, it's going to roll in a lot more support for dual screen and folding devices. So hopefully Android 11 makes the biggest difference possible on the Surface Duo. We just don't know when that's going to happen. So let's talk about maybe the other elephant in the room, and that is Cyberpunk 2077. The reviews are beginning to roll out for the PC version of the game. And in case you're wondering if it looks like it's any good, the answer is 91 on Metacritic. So it has got a universal acclaim status on Metacritic. People are citing lots of bugs, but they don't think it seems to, destroy the experience of the game. If we look at some of these quotes here, let's read one from the Digital Fix. CD Projekt Red has set a new standard for what can be achieved in this sandbox. It's taking the open world gaming to the next generation. That's a pretty big quote there. Several perfect scores. Let's look at one that maybe is a little bit more negative. GamesBeat says, I think that Cyberpunk 2077 delivers the big budget gaming thrills that many people are looking for, but it falls short in a few key areas for me, and a lot of that comes as a byproduct of its ambitions. At any rate, for those that are looking for a big open world immersive sandbox style game like this, most of the reviews I've watched have been very positive, and in fact I find myself being more intrigued and more wanting to learn more about this game than I thought I was going to be going in. Maybe it's those genital sliders, you just can't get it out of your head. You want to see what's going on there. Probably not that for you. I'd love to know if you guys are amped for Cyberpunk 2077. What do you think of these reviews? Are you more encouraged? Are the bugs worrisome to you? Do you think maybe be smart to wait and see if these bugs get squashed? Are you planning on buying it on the consoles? The fact that we've not seen reviews for the consoles themselves, no one has their hands on that version yet, is that concerning to you? I think it would be for me. Love to know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Speaking of the new consoles, I've got a very unfortunate piece of news for a man in Utah who alerted the authorities after he received a brick inside a box for a PlayStation 5 instead of his PlayStation 5. The man paid $878, nearly double the MSRP, to buy this PS5 on eBay, and then when he received it, it was placed within a legitimate cardboard box from the PS5, but unfortunately, when he opened it, there was simply a brick, a piece of concrete brick inside the box. Hopefully this man is able to get his money back. Hopefully the person that perpetrated this act receives some sort of a punishment. Obviously this is pretty messed up. We've seen a lot of people on eBay selling what they're calling the paper edition or the photo edition of graphics cards and consoles, where if you read the fine print, it says this is only a photo of the item, not the item itself. Definitely some dirty pool there from some people on the internet. If you're buying this stuff online secondhand, first off, I would encourage you to not buy anything from scalpers. Don't let them make any money so they will stop doing this. But if you're going to do it, read the fine print very, very carefully. And the last bit of news I want to talk about today is the fact that Apple is reportedly working on a 32-core version of the M1 processor. This is absolutely insane. So it appears that this version will be in their upcoming Mac Pro, which will be about half the size of the regular Mac Pro, coming up in 2022. But the new processors could arrive as early as spring 2021. So the current M1 chips that have been taking the world by storm have featured a CPU with 4 high-performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. But something like the Mac Pro is going to need a whole lot more power and a whole lot more cores to be able to do the work that people do in their Mac Pros, which is primarily high-end video editing. So of course they're going to have to push that core count to the stratosphere, although I don't know if anybody thought 32 was going to be where they were going. Apparently there's also a design being worked on with 16 high-performance cores and 4 efficiency cores in addition to the version with 32 32 high performance cores. As crazy as this really is, when you take into account, what the Mac Pro currently has, I believe it's the Xenon processor that's an obscene amount of cores and a lot of power already. You knew that this is something they would have to do. I just think a lot of people thought it would take a little bit longer for them to get to this point with M1. It'll be really interesting to see if the power actually scales up in a linear fashion or what kind of trade-off you get for going to this large amount of cores. I am super excited to see what the performance would be. If you take an M1, you get rid of the TDP concern, you just throw it in a tower and you say, I don't really care about what kind of power it uses. You crank the power cores up to 32 and you just let that sucker fly. Could be an absolutely incredible device. Probably not going to be cheap either. Something to definitely be watching as we approach 2021 and into 2022 when this Mac Pro is rumored to be coming out. It'll also be really interesting to know if they're going to stick with an integrated GPU with this new bigger, badder M1, or if they're going to have a situation where you're going to have a Vega graphics card or something like that externally, because a lot of people want multiple graphics cards in there for what they're doing to process 8K video very rapidly. It's also going to be really interesting to see what kind of I/O expansion there is. Obviously, the current M1 Macs have a smaller amount of I/O than what we had on Intel. So these things are all going to have to get answered. Is this going to run? They mention here that they are experimenting with graphics, with integrated GPUs with up to 128 dedicated cores. Are they experimenting with truly going full SoC, no dedicated graphics card? And how close to the performance of dual Vegas could they get doing something like that? Super, super fascinating. Cannot wait to see more. So guys, that's all the news I have for you on this one. Be sure to stay tuned for more coverage just like this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, where I will release my next versions of my news radar. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends. If you enjoy my content, please consider becoming a Scary If Literal member. You'll get access to a whole bunch of emoticons to use with live streams and a shout out on an upcoming video. Thanks as always for your continued support.